Story number 1. Around 3 years ago, in the summer of 2018, I took a job as a babysitter. It was good pay, as the people in my town are nice enough to offer good hourly wages for kids. It was easy for the most part, and I'm good with kids. One day in the middle of summer, this family asked to babysit for their kid. I agreed since I had nothing better to do and I was in need of some cash. So I arrive about an hour later and meet the parents who were off on a date. I was left with their son who was 8 and their daughter who was 5. I put TV on and they watch with excitement. I start to make lunch when I hear something in the basement. I ignore it, as it was their problem and it was none of my business as I thought. Then we ate dinner and we played board and video games. I put the daughter to bed at 7:30 and the son at 8:30. I just put the son to bed when I heard a tapping noise. I crept down the stairs to the basement as the curiosity was killing me, and I had to investigate. I was worried the tapping was from an animal like a rat or a raccoon that had snuck into the house. I get to the bottom and the light is burnt out, so I have to use my phone flashlight. And what I see next downright terrifies me. Chains lying everywhere. Some even had some blood on them. Bloody mouse traps and bear traps. And there's a long, thick piece of rope, and I think we all know what that was intended for. I saw a small rabbit stuck in a mouse trap squirming. That's probably what made the sounds. I somehow didn't scream. I just snuck upstairs, shut the door, and sat around collecting my thoughts. I wanted to throw up, and believe me, I almost did. I didn't call the parents to explain. I just straight ahead went and called the police. They arrived, and they called the parents who came right away. They found out I looked and threatened me, and broke into tears explaining the traps were used to trap and murder and badly injure a girl who they hated that lived next door. She was around 9 or 10 and went missing a few months back. They were arrested and the kids were sent to live with their aunt and uncle. I gave my witness to the police and left and went home. I couldn't sleep that night or for many weeks. I feared that they would kill me for getting them arrested. I never saw them again and blocked their number just to make sure. I quit my job as a babysitter after this and never did anything like it again. Story number 2. I won't tell you the name myself or anyone else in the store to conceal our identities from the internet for privacy. Last month I got a local gig as a babysitter. I babysat about 4 families. This was my 5th time. The parents gave me a basic rundown on what to do, the usual, and I was left home with this girl. She was 12. A bit old for babysitting in my opinion, but whatever, it's the parents' choice anyway. She could take care of herself fine, and I was still getting paid. I mean, in my opinion, it was basically a free $10 an hour, so it's not like I was complaining. She loved drawing and even had a book about it. She went to bed earlier because it was a school night. I was chilling watching TV. The parents will be back in about an hour and a half. So I'm just chilling when I see her book on the coffee table. Now, I'm usually not a nosy person, but I wonder what she drew. Good thing too, because if I didn't look, it could have been a way worse night for me. I opened the book to see a drawing of me. It said "My Babysitter" as the title, and it gave a date. That day's date. It showed me sleeping on the couch, and then showed her with a knife about to stab me. My whole world stopped for a second. Quiet as I could, I packed my stuff and left. I wrote a note from the parents saying that I would never babysit there again. I went home and went to sleep. Well, I tried to anyway. I was super scared and pretty much slept with one eye open the entire night. But eventually I managed to fall asleep. The next day I woke up to like 20 missed calls and 5 text messages from the mom, demanding I come back and told me I was fired. Well, I didn't care. I quit anyway, and I blocked their numbers and quit the job for good. I didn't bother calling the cops, as I had a feeling they couldn't help me. I went about my life and got a new job at a local store. I'll never forget that girl and her plan, and that wicked, screwed up drawing. Story number 3. This story happened back in 2009. I was 9 at the time, and my parents left me with a babysitter. This was my second time with a sitter, and I kinda knew him. I did my Saturday night routine of playing video games and eating junk food. At like 6, he came upstairs and sat and watched me play on the couch in the gaming room. It was strange, but I kept playing. He told me he brought a game from home. He put it into the Xbox. I forget, it was some kind of racing game. He tried to show me the controls, but I already knew them. He was touching me weirdly, leaning with the moves, trying to hold my hand. It was uncomfortable to say the least, but I didn't tell anyone. I was too innocent to know what he was really trying to do. Now it chills me to think that people like him exist. He became the babysitter that my parents would hire a lot. He was over many weekends. About 3 weekends after the first incident, he did something even weirder which pushed me over the edge. I was in my room changing when I saw a red dot in my closet. I finished and looked close. I couldn't tell what it was, but it was flashing. Then I saw something behind it. I turned on my light, saw the face of my babysitter. I screamed and he came out and told me it was okay. I ran down the stairs so fast and out that door it was a blur, and I luckily had my phone with me. I called my parents and screamed for them to come home and told them everything. My sitter left and took off peeling down the road. I ran to my neighbor, who let me in at once I told her what was happening. My parents came over and called the cops. It was a mess. The ruckus woke up the entire neighborhood. My babysitter was tracked down and taken away. I never saw him again. My parents stay home way more often now, and they never hired a babysitter again. They drop me off at my grandma's house whenever they want to go out, which I think they should have been doing in the first place since it was cheap and it was easier. I'm fine now, and I'm just really happy that my babysitter is either in jail or getting the help that he requires.